Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you. Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 69. Is the adjudicator truly omniscient, or will an alliance between rogue agents from the infernal realms and the heavenly host spell his defeat? Find out in this very episode as we deep dive into not one, not two, not three, but 4 issues of Ghost Machine's Family Odyssey, Hornsby, and Halo. I'm Nick, and as usual, I'm joined by my better half, Snoggle. How are you doing, my dear, my heavenly dear, my angel?
I don't know about all that. I'm doing great. I'm super ready to deep dive. I would say after 69 episodes, I think we're ready to do 4 issues in one.
Well, it's good that you point that out, because really the reason that we're doing this is as a result of our format change like 8 episodes ago, probably like 6 issues ago, because we've had a few interviews in there. It means that to keep up, we have to do things at a certain pace. So this will allow us to catch up and stay current with y'all, which is the reason that number 8 on here even came out last week. Even to do that, we had to do 2 other issues last week. So now it's all about Hornsby and Halo, right? The whole deal, whole shebang, which I'm really excited about.
I know.
I'm also really excited about this shout out. We have a couple of new friends on the gram, as they say. So if you go on there and you look up 2 accounts, one is JKai429, that's JKAI429. The other one is C_powers with a 3 instead of an E. That's C_POW3RS. You can find some really cool action figure photography type content, fantastic stuff. And the reason I know that is because those 2 accounts recently collaborated with us, sent us an invite to be a collaborator with them on a really cool Mezco Junkyard Joe photo that they made that's getting a lot of attention out there. So as usual, we love it when folks do that. So go ahead and check out JKI429 and C_powers 3 instead of an E on Instagram. There's other cool stuff that they post as well. And just as a reminder, if you like to do that type of thing, if you're on that platform, we always welcome anything that we can do to boost your cool ideas and original content out there as well. Well, enough about the gram, because Snoggle's in the newsroom.
Today is Wednesday, July 30th. The next final order cutoff date is right around the corner on August 4th, a day after my birthday, Ghost Machine fans. So we have Geiger number 17, Hornsby and Halo number 9, and the Rockefellers Volume 1 trade paperback, all on final order cutoff on that day. So get to getting. You got to order them comics.
Yeah, that's like warning in the next few days. So if you listen to this episode in the future, then I'm sorry, but you'll be able to remember the historic release date of those issues.
Yeah.
Little bit of San Diego Comic-Con news. This is the Wednesday after San Diego Comic-Con concluded, and Ghost Machine was there. They had a big old booth. Looked like Maytal Sahut did a really cool panel at one point, and they also had some exclusive dust jackets and a Sisterhood foil cover that was San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And so that was really cool. I saw some pictures as well. It looked like Brad Meltzer came to the con and went around and just enjoyed the con, which is really neat. And then obviously took some photos at the Ghost Machine booth because he's the upcoming writer on First Ghost. Also of note, friend of the show, Sean Von Gorman, had a whole deal because of his Eisner nomination and his recent collaboration on a comic book with the Lawrence brothers, the actual Lawrence brothers. Yep, it's a detective comic book that he was the artist on. Excited for him about that. But he has this cool photo online of him with a whole bunch of those Ghoul Grains, Dr. Jelly, Mr. Peanut Butter covers, like he's getting ready to sign them, doing his thing with his shades on. So yeah, that was cool at San Diego Comic Con. Also saw Lamont McGee poking around there in some photos. Who's going to be the author on Soul List that we keep hearing about.
Amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. So we have 4 issues to talk about today. Now, before we talk about those covers, real quick, I just want to remind everybody that, as we talked about before, the best way to get the word out there about your favorite comic book 4 universes is by reviewing stuff online. Because that's a great way to tell your friends that you don't know you have yet about them. Obviously, you tell all your friends that you do know you have, but what all the friends you don't know that you have? If you review comics online and they go look at Amazon and stuff like that, where they can buy comics both in print and digitally, then it will help them rise to the top. And then you can meet those folks like Becky on Goodreads.
Yeah, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm pretty active on Goodreads.
And if you hadn't thought about this in a while, it's also a great way to get the good word about the Ghost Machine Fans podcast. If you would like to leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you listen to it on some other thing, that's great too. But I do believe it helps in some way. And we really appreciate it. I want to know your feedback anyway.
And well, since we have 4 books that we're covering, we are going to cover the covers a smidgen different, correct? Because we have at least 12.
Well, we really have some highlights. It's really what it is. And we're still going to mention every single issue here, right? But just, in an organized fashion, perhaps, you could say.
Perhaps.
So you lay these dozen comics out in front of you. And notice right away that the A cover for all 4 is by Peter Snaberg and John Calise. They're the same team that does the book, and they're fantastic. We love them. I think the cool thing especially is like the fun commentary, that the way that they position Rosenzack in, like the one that where they have them outside the principal's office. I really get a kick out of that. And for number 5, the way that they're positioned in front of this giant, profile of the adjudicator, I think gives you a great perspective.
The A covers, they're great. And they typically kind of follow the story you're about to read in said issue. I particularly liked Gary Frank's B cover for issue 5, with the pets in the foreground.
Yeah, it was funny because it's a big deal when you have somebody that draws animals like Gary draw a cat and a dog. It's like, wow, how long did that take? There's a lot just right there, let alone all the detail that you have on the 2 of them in that cover. But it's just super cool. Also, one of the 5 covers, 5C, is by Dean Haspiel, who Sean Von Gorman has mentioned that they're friends before. He's really active on social media. He does a lot of interesting stuff. He did that cover for Geiger that was an homage to the Hulk. I don't know if you remember that one. It was like that similar style. And it's cool because it's like Sydney, adjudicator, but in like Sydney form with the 2 of them on each side. And it's interesting how he arrived at choosing that design.
I'd agree. I think it's nice. 6V was done by German Peralta, who he's done a couple of Ghost Machine titles, correct?
He's done a lot of variant covers.
Yeah,
and we've liked them all. We like that guy. He's super good. that's the 6B, and then 6C, because there's three of each. 6C is Mark Chiarello. We've seen him do a few other covers too, but not very many. Not as many as Peralta. It's similar in style to Snaberg, is the way that I saw that one. It's kind of like same vibe, and that's cool. I like it. Though I'll tell you that the 7B cover by Marco Santucci was like, wow. But I'm really biased. I really like Marco Santucci, man.
Red Hot Fire.
Yeah, that's my note. If anybody Ghost Machine fans want to know, that's what it says in my show notes about Marco Santucci. Red Hot Fire. I just think the way that he adds detail but with a lot of clarity, I really dig it. Almost though, as much as the Ryan Sook 8B cover, which Ryan Sook's really good too, but the way that they got the armor to glow and like reflect, and because it's like you're in the perspective of presumably Rose, because it's got this demon pitchfork thing going at this really cool looking version of Zach. Like he honestly,
very detailed.
Yeah. Did you see who did the 8C cover?
I did. Friend of the show, Sean Von Gorman. He did 8C. And I really, well, I don't know. It's just like both of like Rose and Zach positioned in a stained glass window. That's nice. That's some good work.
To me, it said, oh, I could see Sean coming up with that. You know, I would dig a poster of it, especially like a Virgin poster of it without any logos or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Would be cool.
Agreed.
And like a little frame on the wall, little like 11 by 17 or something.
A little frame on the wall.
A little frame.
Frame.
Well, if you have not read Hornsby and Halo 5 through 8, this is your chance to go out and grab those comics. And those are all the options that you'll have, hopefully, if you can find them all, at your local comic book shop. But that also means this is your official spoiler pause for Hornsby and Halo 5 through 8.
It's going down. And we begin with issue number 5.
Number 5, can you give us a creator roll call?
We got Peter Tomasi and Peter Schneeberg. And then we've got John Calise coloring and Rob Lee, our king of letters.
Shout out to Rob Lee. All right. John Calise been doing some colors for a minute, man. I've been reading some early aughts, late 90s DC comics with his name all over them. It's fantastic. So
he gets to do a lot of space in this issue.
Oh, all right. That's it's gonna be a long episode with those jokes. That is, oh, you mean because of the adjudicator and all that good stuff. Yeah. So catch us up on that. Right in the middle of this, we got massive adjudicator in a cemetery. What's been going on with this comic?
As all of you might recall, we last left our dynamic duo after they were being chased by the zombie hordes because Zach's parents stole. And the adjudicator has finally, at the very beginning, revealed himself to Zach and Rose. And as any 13-year-old group of children, they are freaked out. I mean, I'd be freaked out, and I am a smidgen older than 13. I'd be like, nope, I'm going to die. I do really like how, he's revealed to them. I can't even imagine what this would look like in real life. And they both pinch each other. And then immediately starts a fight between the two of them.
They do. And because their instinct is to pinch each other in hopes that they're dreaming. But
as a team,
I just really think that Peter Snaberg's pencils lean well to the design of a Sphinx-like demigodish thing. I think that he draws that well. I think that looks cool, but I also think that I'm assuming John Calise chose the I know they probably said in the script that Peter Tomasi has written the adjudicator's skin looks like space or whatever, but like I would still think that John has a big part of that design and those choices, and I think it looks really cool.
I do too. A main theme in this is for the parents, there is a very fun, sarcastic tone to the adjudicator. He's like, children. And I can almost hear him having like the deep voice, like the very famous man who voiced Mufasa.
James Earl Jones?
James Earl Jones, where he's like, calm down, children. But it's like he's aggravated. And I feel like I don't know how, but I can feel his aggravation. He's like, he's dang basically a prince and a princess of heaven and hell. And he's like just having to get them to calm down so he can really show them who they are. Because obviously there are people trying to fool the pact.
Yes, and he says these overly patient statements like, I understand you're upset, and I want to do everything in my power to help make sense of all these strange things. He sounds like a parent helping somebody cope with adolescence who's trying to contain their frustration. Because then he even fixes the graves for them, and by the time he fixes the graves and looks up, they're already driving away, fleeing. And it's like, okay, guys, but what's your conclusion here? Like, you're just going to run from this? I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem as though he's trying to harm you. But I get it. They're scared. So they go. And she's making the gas pedal go down with a shovel and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not expect what happened. I did not expect them to then have, like, birds flying right next to the vehicle because they were like several stories up after getting picked up by the adjudicator flying. And
he says,
I suggest you both remain in the truck.
I would really recommend for everybody to read the adjudicator's voice exactly like that, like the deep.
Absolutely. He swoops them up, and then there's this 1-page spread where it's at night and the lights are gleaming and it's a snowstorm and there's seagulls. I would buy that original art and I would frame it and put it on my wall. That is super cool.
Yeah, it's dope.
Really cool. And we went to a drive-in recently, so that was kind of like, oh yeah, because he drives them to a drive-in movie theater to drop them off and try to talk more. And this is where I think that what you're talking about really comes through, especially because they, for a second, like they seem like they're gonna talk to him. He mentions the
floating cotton candy, and he's telling him it's clouds. And then he's like, again, like, finally I can explain some stuff to them. But he's like, oh, come on, really? Again with the running?
And the look on his face when he says that is the I'm starting to get a little annoyed look. Their conclusion, though, is there's this thing that's so powerful it picked up our truck with us in it, then dropped us off here. Let's hide in the snack shop and just hole up there. And there is a moment here where you notice that in order to get in, Rose is going to break the window, but she doesn't have to because Zach is able to pick the lock. And she asks if he learned it from his mom or dad, and he says that one he picked up by himself. And so that's a very purposeful dialogue moment, in my opinion, for Peter to choose. But either way, so they're hiding in their snacks, and I absolutely love this brief exchange because he sees that there's candy bars. And let's remind everybody his true origin. I don't know if I want to use the word nature. I guess, yeah, that's the idea. Nature versus nurture. His supposed true nature is angelic. Her supposed true nature is demonic or infernal or whatever. And so at first she's like, you can't steal this snack bars. And he says it's leftover stuff. It's almost expired. She says every day is Judgment Day. And he looks at her.
Oh, I love it. He goes, or sometimes every day is just a day.
Yes, it's hilarious.
Which I will say, as Nick pointed out at the beginning of the episode, I'm essentially an angel. But who cannot relate to that? Dude, sometimes every day is just a day. Just let me live and eat my snacks. We're being chased by a weird lion thing with wings. Looks like space.
And that's how he gets back in there, though. We hear the Rob Lee knock, knock, the double Rob Lee. And in the porthole window of the place is the bus driver.
Mr. Winders!
Now, there's a super powerful, weird creature out there that can pick up trucks. Come on into the snack bar at the movie drive-in. It's safe.
They're like, we can't leave him outside.
He starts to explain after they talk about there being a monster outside that he is like done with this. And he says, stop calling me a monster, and turns from Wenders into the adjudicator and snags them both and turns back. But he's like, you can tell he's like, listen, just let me talk to you. You got to stop. And what gets through to them, though, is showing them as he shifts between all these different people, the umpire, the gravedigger, Miss Strode, the music teacher, Yafet, one of their friends that were their age, and he even mentioned sometimes it was better for me to watch as a peer. Like, it's all of these people, like, and then also someone that worked and volunteered at the community center. So it's, and then a police officer, I guess, that they point out, even though he's retired, but it's not someone that I don't think that we've seen that person before. But very specifically, when the panel goes to the next page, we see Zach's cat that we think is evil. And the adjudicator's speech bubble says ... and protect you from those who seek power and want to destroy the balance. So it's positioned in such a way where it makes that cat continue to seem to be positioned mischievously, in the very least.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear more about the pets because we know they're not your normal animals. And the cat is obviously a hell-like creature, just like here on Earth. And the dog is clearly the more angelic creature of the two pets. So I kind of wonder if, again, it's something to help with the balance. I mean, who's to say? But the adjudicator doesn't really note that the cat is not really a normal cat. But it feels like he must know, correct?
I imagine so, and I think because when we saw in their bios in Ghost Machine #1 for Hornsby and Halo, there also were bios for the cat and the dog. And they were both like really old creatures. So I think they're meant to just watch over things, but I think that their stories are yet to be told. But we do see Zach's cat continuously get positioned kind of like sneakily. We're going to see that happen here in a little bit, where he's got a line where Pepper says, oh, I guess I'll walk. I think the cat's name is Pepper. They give him the time of day as a result of how he explains it. But then he starts to try to explain, like, yeah, it's about heaven and hell. And then they start to feel like, nah, no way. What are you talking about? And then he alludes to them being more than human. And that's what gets through to them, where they're like, he says, James Earl Jones' voice,
are you willing to open your hearts and minds to me? And step forward.
By the way, the look on their faces is very tentative. Yes and yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, I guess, sure. And they do. They step into the fabric of his being or whatever that looks like space. And he says on the next page, which is super cool from John Cleese, all these wild colors all over the place, some sort of portal / transportation energy type of deal. And the adjudicator says, step forward and I will reveal all. And it says in the next issue, you're going to talk about upstairs in all bluish like letters and downstairs in all fiery orange and red letters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
The back of that one was pretty neat. The adjudicator had a bio there.
Age, unknown. Height, changes upon appearance. Weight, undeterminable. Eyes, gold. I do like at the end, it says his strengths cannot be measured by human instruments.
Later, we're going to, in one of the issues we're going to read, the demons refer to him being on some sort of council, which I have questions about. And I don't think that's really mentioned in the bio. But we do learn more about Zach and Rose in the bio and how he's been watching over them, which is pretty cool. And it says he has vast cosmic abilities, many of which have not been witnessed yet by humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 5. Now,
6.
we got to go on a journey into heaven and into hell. So right off the bat, at the start of issue 6, this is what I was talking about with the kitty cat. So same creative team, by the way. Nothing is changing on this one. So it's showing at the drive-in, the kitty cat with a bunch of the rappers there. And there's this like zippy zap energy and these great little like energy zip zaps and zeets from Rob Lee. And it's like a tiny little portal that's closing. And the cat's making your typical cat noises. Then the portal closes all the way. The cat eats a Twix. And then the cat says out loud, it looks like I'm walking. So right off the bat, as a result of going into the adjudicator, as you know, he's like, come in, we'll go. They're in space. They're floating with him. And they have this view outside of the Earth, and portals to 2 different places. And one of them is reddish orange and fiery. One of them is light blue and white and glowy. And then atop the Earth sits a Grim Reaper looking dude with a scythe in each hand, one of which is covering each of the portals. And the adjudicator says it best. He says the easiest explanation, when he's talking about the Reaper looking guy, the easiest explanation is it's an interdimensional gateway that acts as a conduit to the celestial and infernal realms.
I think it looks pretty gnarly.
It does. It looks super metal, and it makes you wonder as you learn some of the dynamics about this, like the souls and how they go through these places. It kind of explains like the Grim Reaper a little bit, but it still is in a literal sense. They're not observing this Scrooge style. They're like there because the adjudicator flies into the portal to the infernal realms.
Well, and they're not human, so I'm assuming that's why they can do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But either way, they're not observers. They're actually going there. They're actually seeing these things. And once they get into hell, they're there, like it's intense. And you can tell that they're pretty scared. He says straight up to her, this, where we are is your home. It's the door to your home, Rose. This is where you were born. If the peace pact remains intact, you will preside over this realm and one day govern with a fair yet forceful hand. Oh, really? That's great. Great news, man. Like now at least I'll be good at it. We could have waited on that, I just don't know how strategic that was. I don't know that the adjudicator is thinking about like the cadence of his delivery there with what he's trying to accomplish.
I also don't think he's used to dealing with children. He's a ancient immortal being. Like someone who's only 13 years old. He just cannot. He's like this just like in the last episode, he's like, "Can you accept that this is what this is?" And they're like, "Well, what is this?" No, we can't.
Yeah, it seemed like a deeply philosophical thing, and it's like, dude, you gotta slow down. Like, you gotta speak 13-year-old, man. Like,
Yeah. But I
and
do like
yeah,
how that when they start going, like they've got to go through a river. I mean, like, what cool art. There's all these people who are just, in hell for probably just reasons. Like the gnarly trees, and I don't know. I think it all looks crazy.
and they do catch a glimpse of the Beazle guy again. That he's even like, remember me from the night with the bikers, blah blah blah, and he even says, "I tell you to mind your step, but nothing can harm you here anyway." There's something about ever since I'm assuming like Dante or whatever first described the multiple levels of hell and the way that each one had to do with different punishments. People dig. I mean, I'll tell you. Like, I remember reading that book when I was in high school to check that out, and I remember in Spawn, there's a lot of that where they're like, in this quadrant of hell, these are the people that did this thing, and this is their horrible torture as a result, and the irony and the misery, and
Yeah.
and
Like the very first page, which the bully who just has to fight himself for all eternity.
and there's people frozen in the lake for their treachery or betrayal. And there's even like these giant demon monsters. We don't even really learn what those are. They're just these huge demon monsters that are like, "Let us out of here!" But they're gigantic, and they recognize her. They recognize her as one of the infernal highborns.
Yes, and I
And
love the imagery of like, it's first Rose who's like, Sydney, can I hold your hand? She's so scared. And Zach doesn't even have to say it. He's like,
Sure, Zachary. Take my hand.
please, highborn, don't turn your back on us. Like there's, yeah, and then I really liked this panel where all the steps are going up into a lit area, and then there are all these creepy different demons on the different sides saying things like, "I can be good," I can blah, blah, blah. And then the adjudicator points out that they're all lies.
yeah.
So it's just whatever. It's just creatures just trying to get out, trying to take advantage of whatever they can because they all know she has some sort of power.
But you can't really blame them.
I mean, they're pretty brave.
Tortured for all eternity. I think I as well, if seeing like the princess of hell, I'd be like, hello, I will do anything for you to not be beating myself up for all eternity.
Yeah, well, that's why that bully shouldn't have done what he did. So they literally do find a set of stairs that allows them to ascend from there to the celestial kingdom. And I liked it was cool. They hopped on his back and says, "Why don't you climb on?" And it looks like he did that so they wouldn't have to literally walk up all the steps. And what'd you think of the interesting like thing? They pass by this like massive spiral of blue soul looking souls, and the adjudicator says these are the approximately 150,000 departed souls who have died during one single Earth day and are now ascending. So that if there's this Reaper guy, right? And then it's like, okay, so there's a Reaper guy, and if somebody dies on the Earth and they do whatever you have to do to be able to go to heaven, then or the celestial kingdom, but we know that the one feeds the other two, that the Earth feeds the residency of both the celestial kingdom and the infernal realms. We don't see any reincarnative elements.
Agreed.
But we do get a different type of recognition in the Celestial Kingdom because there are these what look like archangel, super angel type of angel guardian soldier people, and they see them and they say, "You and the Highborn are allowed to pass, adjudicator." And he's like, "Well, I would hope so." But either way, they're still like, "Yeah, you're a Highborn." Even Rose, so there's not any like weirdness. It's just like, okay, yep, probably because they're all together, I guess. But then from there, they just all they see of the Celestial Kingdom is clouds and huge steps that go up to like a gleaming building that they all acknowledge, quote, takes your breath away.
Which, I mean, I can understand. I like how with the color here, John made it so bright that it almost seems washed out. But I feel like, if someone was like the light of heaven should be that bright. Like, oh my gosh, like almost blinding. I think it does a very good job of showing that.
Like it's distorting. It's
right.
so strong. But then it still has a cloud-like, everything has a cloud-like sense to it too.
Mm-hmm.
And on the bottom, Zach and Rose are both indicating that they have a familiar sense. And the adjudicator is like, well, yeah, that's what I've been telling you. And then they see this angelic kind of looking being, not nearly as impressive as the guards, wrestling with a horrible snake that like he's literally biting. Then he tells them that is the postal worker who gave them the angel feather, the cotton candy thing to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then that guy screams for a while. We know in a few what's going to happen. He's going to join forces with the other guy, and we're going to see what happens there. But we do see here that his name is Domino. That's what they're calling this character. And when you realize that all that was like a random rogue whatever agent in Celestial Kingdom grabbed like a cloud or whatever and a feather and put it in a box and gave it to a guy to try to tip the balance of some massive thing, it kind of not trivializes it, but it kind of makes you think like, wow, it's a really delicate thing. Like you'd be surprised he would even have access to Zach and Rose. You would think there would be like 20 adjudicators that were like 100 miles out at all times trying to keep all forces of the universe away from them.
Mm-hmm. Then we wouldn't have a comic book.
Well, I was going to say then we would have a comic book, but it would probably be like a Marvel event. It wouldn't be Hornsby and Halo.
It would be the adjudicators.
Dum dum dum. Summer event 2027.
Dum 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 dum.
No,
Sorry.
I'll take the adjudicator. Hornsby and Halo. And I so they all are in awe of that. Then there's these birds come in like to greet Zach that know him from, I guess, when he was little. And Rose accidentally zaps one with like a flame hand because she's an infernal creature and they're heavenly beings. And it just like flips the script. These two, I guess this is really an adolescent moment when they decide they're just going to have a knockdown drag out in the middle of the air after they've had all these like interesting experiences. They're just going to do that.
Because they get in a fight. And the adjudicator, again, being aggravated dad, is...
There's quite a bit of work to do, children.
And he throws them in a pool on Earth. And I love everything about that.
Yeah. Well, that was his last shot with them, basically, before things started to really turn sour because they both are like, basically, I want to go home. I want to get away from you. I don't want to deal with you anymore. I don't care about any of this stuff.
I just want to be normal.
Especially Rose. She flames up for a second there and she's like, and that's like, oh, that's interesting. Did she consciously choose to do that or did it just happen?
I'm pretty sure it just happened.
I think it just happened, yeah.
She had her exorcist moment.
And so Wenders goes to drop them off because apparently the story is that Wenders discovered the two of them swimming in the pool after hours. And I'm just saying, I would think Rose's parents would be like, "What is going on? Like, why are you doing that?" Like, but I guess who knows? It's not really here nor there. And with Zach, it's a totally different vibe. With Zach, it's don't even talk to me. And I'm just going to go into my house where I don't even think I'll see my parents because I don't know if they're there right now. But he still has the feather, and his little demon cat is on his chest, ready to play with it. And this is significant.
I do feel bad for Rose because, like, in all honesty, if you were raised the way she was, and then they're like, surprise, you're gonna be the queen of hell one day, you'd be like, but I'm good. I think that'd be a lot to process.
Well, especially when you're like in actual hell, being told that alone wouldn't be a lot to process at the age of 13. It is significant that she tosses out those papers because that we see that come back later. I thought it was funny how there was an Andrew and Olivia Halo bio. I get it, as we learn a lot about them and why perhaps they were, became absolutely horrendous human beings. But it does point out that they're narcissists, and it's just ironic that they're the ones that ended up being chosen for this particular thing. It makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
And on to number 7. Man. Oh, don't forget, this is one cover we didn't talk about before. The C cover of this one. We talked about the B cover with my guy Marco Santucci, but the C cover, Alessandro Vitti and John Calise. That's a good one. Alessandro Vitti actually recently shared some content online that we reposted, and he sent us a message or two. He's a talented artist. Check out Alessandro Vitti. What did you think of this? So it's another one of those things that this series has done before where it'll play a scene and then it'll play a scene for Zach and then it'll play a scene for Rose and then it'll show parallels and draw comparisons. And that's exactly what this is, but it's him going to the mall and putting on like many layers of clothing to steal them.
Which is comical.
Right. And
because he's going down the escalator. He looks like an Oompa Loompa. And he's doing it to, like, yeah, I'm excited because I stole some stuff. Going to show my bad parents because they're going to be proud of me. And then immediately donates them all.
Yeah. He says, wait until mom and dad see this little heist. Must have cleared over $700. And then he sees the community center and then says, for stuff I don't need. And he donates all of it to the community center. So that's him doing something based on how he's been nurtured and then changing that by his nature. So in that case, good won out in the end.
Which I think in a different scale, we do see with Rose as well. She goes through, because like I do find it kind of funny that Zach's whole thing is just him like humming to himself while he's stealing at the mall. And she does a series of nice events. I mean, this girl is like helping a blind person cross the road, giving donuts to people, handing out water bottles on her bike to construction workers, helping to change a tire, going to an animal rescue center to give a mom raccoon a reunion with her raccoon babies, helping like kids cross the street. I mean, this stuff is comical. How much good stuff she's doing. Reading to sick kids in the hospital, picking up trash for free. And then all of that, it ends with her like leaving the hospital. And there's this dude who's like, excuse me, could you open the door? I've got an appointment. She's like, sorry, I'm busy.
So that's the parallel, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both did what they've been nurtured to do. And Zach's been nurtured to steal. Rose has been nurtured to do all of these good things.
Yeah.
And in that case, if one is nurtured to do evil, it only goes so far. If one is nurtured to do good, it goes much farther. And that aside, ultimately their nature is what closes it up, because it is Zach's nature that sees that community center and decides to change what he did. And it is Rose's nature to not help the dude at the door.
Mm-hmm.
So it still is like, it's this constant duality thing. And I dig how Peter has made this about thinking about, in a lot of ways, right and wrong and why we do what we do and how we do it. But
Yeah.
when you take out the whole, like, there's an ethereal force influencing you because you're an infernal or celestial being, it's just like, man, even if you've done all this amazing stuff today to help other people, you can still have that one dude get in the hospital. And so it's a detail. And that's the kind of stuff a lot of people need to be reading this comic book. You need to tell your friends, hey, if you like a comic book that's thoughtful, that's thoughtful. That's smart. You know, that's a relationship-oriented comic book. But then they flash to hell, where they've got that Beazle guy getting stabbed by like a whole bunch of little dudes.
Shout out to Rob here, because like anytime it's like hell writing, it's like cut, 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 stab, stab, stab. Like you can almost feel the irritation in all of these demons as they're literally torturing this dude.
Blind, 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 pain, pain, pain.
Yeah. Haven't I suffered enough?
Yeah, it's funny, the font that he uses, and it's pretty cool. That's a good point. I really dig that. The way the bubbles are structured, the speech bubbles as well.
Yeah, it's cool. The panel before that is when Beazle said, haven't I suffered enough?
Mm-hmm.
And you see the like of, light, and he says, I know I have, Beazle. Meaning Domino, she's like, I am suffering too. In a different way.
And this is also where we see that council mentioned the first time. Because when Domino comes through, Beazle says, crossing into the inferno will bring the Council of Realms' wrath down upon us. And then later that council is mentioned. Just remember that when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the two of them conspire.
Yes.
And it sounds like they had missions that were supposed to work out, but they failed. And then they do this really like interesting blood pact. It's like, I would think that an angel and demon doing a blood pact thing would like result in some sort of like explosion. Or...
No, I thought it was pretty cool how Beazle is like, I'll cut my own skin, and he just bites into his arm like a crazy person.
And he says, whosoever breaks the pact will be transported to the Black Void. And we both know it's better to exist than not exist.
And then they're off to get, first on the agenda, which obviously we'll find this out later, to round up the hollowed ones.
Yeah. Notice that is plural.
Yeah.
Let's keep that in mind.
And then we're back in school.
Back in school with Zach and Rose, where they're with their, I guess, English or drama class, and there's a vote as to whether it's going to be Romeo and Juliet or Paradise Lost, which is all about the different circles of hell and Adam and Eve and those things, or we all know what Romeo and Juliet is about. So, teacher takes a vote, and who are the only two people that vote for Romeo and Juliet?
Zach and Rose.
Did not see that coming.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, 100%. They're just tired. Okay, so here's where I'll go with this. I think that they're both just really tired of like, heaven and hell, the struggle between evil. Like,
Oh,
they're trying to escape from that. So why would they want to do a play where that's all it is? They're like, yeah, I'm down for the get down. Romeo and Juliet, tragedy, let's go.
I think you're right. I was thinking of it as foreshadowing what happens kind of at the end of the next issue, but I didn't think of it because the teacher gives the description, and that's especially when you can see that Zach is like, yeah, I don't want to do that one. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But everybody else votes for the Angels and Demons anyway, so it doesn't matter. We do get another interesting scene with Zach outside that shows us he's using some of his learned skills from his family as well as presumably his intelligence to make money off of people. He beats a kid in chess and then he's got to pay him.
Yeah, multiple times. I do like how nonchalant he is when someone shows a picture of what was probably them in the sky. And he says, probably some AI crap.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because they're talking about the lights that people have seen in the town, the red and blue energy lights people have been seeing around town the last few months. And he shows them a picture. Yeah. So one of these days soon, it's going to be hard to tell when it is and isn't AI crap.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
And then, of course, Adjudicator is like, I need to continue my influence with these young children. So he comes over as like one of the friends. I do like how he's like, can I play a game with you before lunch is over? And instead of saying like, go play chess with Rose, he says, go play checkers with Rose or something, meaning that he's knocking her down a peg.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's just interesting to me how he tries to be so subtle. It seems as though the Adjudicator, while perhaps omniscient, is a little disconnected with how to interface effectively with humans. And we see something similar in how she attempts to have a conversation with Rose while Rose is doing like a whole bunch of intense drumming. There's a whole bunch of great Rob Lee sounds in this bad boy. Ultimately, the Adjudicator is the music teacher, and she's just kind of like it. They're arguing. For an omniscient being, like, he's not diplomatic. He needs to get down to her level, man, and be like, empathize a little bit instead of just telling them if they give him a chance to, he'll make it better. He needs to actually do that.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate here, again, Adjudicator, celestial, like he's been around forever. I don't think in the span of time he's had to deal with like human children. Like it sounds like this is the first time that they've been like, hey, this is how we're going to save the relationship between heaven and hell. So he doesn't know how to deal with humans, which I think they show that pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good point. He doesn't seem to know, be able to adapt himself to certain just ways to connect with people in their position. Like, come on down to hell. I'll show you. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just hold my hand. Don't worry about it. So
yeah,
then it cuts to Beazle and Domino like up in the clouds watching down at Rose, and they're talking about how they are in denial of their fate and all this, but they're also talking about how they're gonna take out their guardian angel, and Domino says, and by all previous accounts, he should be arriving shortly. So they know either he's saying that he knows that if they hang around the Highborn, he'll show up, or they have a way of knowing that he's about to show up to attack them, which is what he does. He runs them into a barn and starts blasting them because he doesn't know it's a trap.
It's a trap. Selfish disruptors. Speaking of disruptors, allow me to introduce, and we turn the page, a hollowed one. Actually, a hollowed one. He's like, oh no, a hollowed one. I really like here, first of all, crazy. Just rips open his chest and has like a black hole in there. But all of his speech bubbles say nothing.
Right.
Because he's a hollow one.
He's like the void
Yeah.
incarnate.
Yeah, but obviously he can still communicate and take direction because they say, take him away, Hollow One, follow my directions to the exact detail.
And he mentions that council again, too. He says to the adjudicator while he's trapped, you let your obedience to the council blind you, adjudicator. And it's like, well, it's supposed to be a neutral party, so I want to learn more about who else is on that council and why he was blindly obedient to them. But yeah, I did notice that it does appear that Domino has some sort of voice control over the hollowed one, over this particular hollowed one. And this was like very Christopher Reeve Superman to me, or whatever. Like, he goes up to an asteroid, or I guess the moon, and pops him back out, but he's in like a hollowed one purple garbage bag.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be
purple garbage bag.
Or like a crystal or something.
Purple garbage bag of doom.
Yeah.
Next, drama club drama.
And that's where it's left, right? Like we don't have much detail other than that he is encased in something that looks like some sort of prison, and then he's just
poor guy.
Yeah, it does not look comfortable. And you do get a little bio about Beazle that emphasizes his ability to manipulate things and shapeshift a lot.
Yes, because his dad is Beelzebub. Beelzebub.
Beelzebub?
Yes.
The firstborn
like the
son
devil
of Beelzebub, founder of Hell's Order of the Fly. That implies that we're going to see multiple different heads of things, as we've seen before in other mediums, perhaps.
I like that he's the Order of the Fly.
The Order of the Fly. And we made it. We're here for issue number 8.
Yes.
The creative team remains the same, as does the quality of the storytelling.
I do like the first page is like we see panel of the adjudicator screaming, panel of the kids, panel of the adjudicator screaming, panel of the kids. And he's like, ah! You can really feel like the action there. And they're both kind of worried, but pretending that they're not.
Well, what's happening in the panels where there's not this screaming adjudicator banging against his purple garbage bag prison is
Purple Prism of Solitude.
There you go. They're talking about how they haven't seen Sydney, Wenders, etc., or any of his disguises, and how they have a new bus driver. They all even go up to the bus driver and then try to see if it is him, and it's not. And then we get this great full-page spread by Snaberg where they're like, I'm sure he's just fine. And it's the adjudicator kind of like half prone inside this thing. Looks like he's on the moon because you can see the Earth in the distance. And it's just abundantly clear that he can't get out or go anywhere.
Yeah, poor guy.
And if you read the little blurbs at the start of every issue, this one does say that he is imprisoned now, and his absence leaves Zach and Rose extremely vulnerable. Vulnerable to bad playwriting, apparently.
Yes.
Because they get their parts, and they're just like super appropriate, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because as you recall, they did Paradise Lost. There is an angel and a devil, and there's Adam and Eve in the story. And their friends end up Adam and Eve. They end up the angel and the devil, but they swap roles from what they know to be true of themselves.
Which is how they're viewed, too, on Earth, anyway. Like
a devil and an angel.
Yeah.
So Rose suggests that they go to Zach's house when they're all discussing where to go rehearse lines, I guess.
Yeah. With a super evil, mischievous look on her face.
And so they do go to the funeral home to do that, and they run into Zach's parents. And every issue, Zach's parents not almost every issue, Zach's parents kind of got to have their horrendous moment. And this is pretty much their new horrendous moment.
Oh, yeah. Essentially showing off the caskets and then giving their cards and saying to the kids, so if you got a grandparent that's going to not be around much longer, let us know.
Yeah, it's and I was much, much younger. I ran cell phone stores, and there were some people that would just harass people in the mall, pursue them to no end, as if it was their right to do so, in that industry. And it was more well, if I talk to everybody, I'll get more phones sold and I'll make more commissions. So I'll talk to anybody about it all the time, and it's the same thing with these people that are yeah, let's talk to a bunch of teenagers or young teenagers about our funeral parlor and how awesome it is, so that we could potentially get more clients in the future. It's not a huge town. They're the place people go. They have it cornered. It exemplifies their reprehensibleness.
I do like how the dad at the end does the Vulcan V.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. He says, live long and prosper. He even says it.
Okay, so is that our sly way of saying that Star Trek fans are evil? Because I love Star Trek, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Love. Or was that just a cool nod? He's trying to be cool to the kids and he doesn't know how.
That was what I was thinking, is that he's profoundly awkward, so he grasped at some random thing that he can do.
Yeah.
Pop culture-y.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He's profoundly disconnected from actual human stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
And they do rehearse for a bit. They do it at Zach's house. Then as they're leaving, it gives us the opportunity to see that Zach collected the pages. Well, if you remember, when they flew out of the school bus, we did get to see him grabbing them to try to save them. And so this means that he put them, because I was confused. I wasn't sure if they were from then, or if also recently when she threw him out the window at the end of one of the issues we just talked about. He
I think it's from them, because
she mentioned
were from my sketch pad, the one you held out the bus window to show you can be an idiot just like your buddies.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got that too. And but also recently she threw a bunch of those away too. Either way, he collected them, fixed them, and he tells her he liked them. And then as a result of him saying that he liked them, she wants him to keep them. And that's our first they vibin' moment.
They're going to be friends. Or star-crossed lovers.
Maybe.
In the strictly PG kind.
Well, like Peter Tomasi said, this is a book everyone can read, but it's not G-rated.
Well, PG-13, they are 13, so.
Maybe.
You can get one F-bomb, the whole series. Choose it wisely, Peter.
Right, that's funny. And they're ready to do their play. She's dressed up like an angel. Yeah. He's dressed up like a demon devil dude. And there's some, talk about being nervous. Everybody, I really like all the bright colors that John Cleese uses and the way he makes the strobes pop, the stage pops, all that kind of stuff with the light and the flashing.
Yeah, I think it looks so cool. Like the way they did the panel where the play begins and it's just kind of shows all the stuff that's happening. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, I like the layout of this 2-page spread where they basically run you through the whole play, but in a really quick, intelligent way. Some of it depends on your familiarity with the legend or the mythos or whatever, the story. Some of it depends on your familiarity with the story, but pretty much everybody knows about the apple and the serpent and all that. And it speeds us up to a point where we can really do what we're there to do, which is see what happens with Zach and Rose as a result of being in these roles after the original sin is over. Because then it's about how Zach is the devil and he's getting everybody together. They're going to go rebel, and Rose stops him. And it's a really cool panel where she's got this spear pointed right down at him. And then they have a mutual line that they say together.
Our inner struggles will go on forever unless we change our ways.
And that's the conclusion of the show. They're super stoked. Lots of Rob Lee clapping. So much Rob Lee applause. All right, all right, all right. And then
standing ovation. Clap, 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 clap. I love that though, because it does mean like the crowd was very much like, yes.
Oh yeah, legit. It worked out. Everybody was happy. You see the parents all there. You see mommy Halo being narcissistic, taking pictures of herself, and dad on his phone. And then you see Rose's parents on their feet, no electronic devices in hand, whistling. Pretty neat. And very poetic there. Great placement, guys. And so then in the crowd, though, they briefly see a transformed Beazle and Domino, and then again they see them in their like humany form, which is still really creepy looking on both accounts. And they both do Zach and Rose while they're taking bows. They're like, "Yeah, I think that's them. I think I saw them." And then they have their huggy moment.
Then they're like begrudgingly becoming friends.
Well, yes. I just feel like the huggy moment is a little bit like teenage love, or as well, because they both say like we did it, yay, and they end up like hugging, and then they kind of have their awkward like okay whatever, but then they have a little bit more of that, and he said like they have some like really introspective statements. And she says, I think I learned to not focus on being perfect. I learned to just be. That's also mirroring what he said to her earlier about sometimes every day is just a day. So that's her taking a page out of his book, which they're supposed to be finding a balance to maintain this peace. And he says, yeah, me too. Turns out I didn't have to be the perfect devil. I just had to be me, if that makes any sense. So,
it's a nice resolution to the things they've been going through lately.
Yeah. And true to form, Zach's parents don't wait for him and he can walk. The interesting thing, though, is that Rose offers him her halo. He offers her his devil helmet. And then they have a quiet beat where they both look away in that kind of we're discovering something about each other like book. And so that to me is like, all right, here's another one that's teenage love or whatever. But it could go
what a
way.
better way to bring the cosmos together.
Well, it makes you wonder, right? Like where could this series
go? Sorry.
Well, they're young now, but the series could go anywhere. Who knows what they have planned?
No, that's really, like, I do think it's fantastic.
And that changes all the angles too. Like, what if the rogue agents find that out and try to take advantage of that? And who knows? Speaking of rogue agents, the next couple of pages, I really liked these.
I do too, but I'm going to say, like, we see it says a few days later. And we've got 4 panels on this page. And I must say, I truly had no idea. I'm like, why are they showing a guy like getting his scuba gear on in between like Beazle and Domino drinking coffee on the street.
Yeah, it made you wonder, ooh, this is going to be a new chapter of something, is what made me feel like. Like new exposition, new page turned, because we just saw, like, it feels like the ending of an arc and the start of a new one. And the guy keeps swimming, he finds a turtle, and then in his lens, we see the reflection of a hollowed one.
Yeah. And I do think this is great storytelling because in between the panels, we see Beazle and Domino talking. And she's like, stop worrying. He's like, maybe we should have hid it somewhere safer. No one will find him if he doesn't want to be found. Now, that is a cool tidbit to end this issue on. Like, obviously, dude was just trying to photograph sea turtles. Poor guy.
Well, that's the thing is, if anything comes around it, apparently it opens its chest and gets you. Because in this case, there's like a bloody whirlpool, and it's like, well, is that going to close, or is that about to pull in did you guys just hid this thing under the ocean? Like you have control over it. Like I mean, I kind of get it, but that poor diver got by the hollowed one. But you would think he would be in a purple trash bag on the moon, not dead in a whirlpool.
I'm very excited for next. Life is a carnival.
And you get a little Domino bio, which jives with Beazle and them being similar. I thought it was interesting how it says Domino is a member with the fourth angelic hierarchy of the Order of Choirs. So we do know that she's of rank of some kind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in her full form, she's 10 feet tall. So she's like, he gets up there, you know? But most of the write-up is more reiterating about the pact and whatnot. But apparently she can fly great distances at even greater speed and has enormous strength. She can also project hot energy from her eyes and hands. And although she is immortal, Domino still feels pain.
Which is smart to note.
That's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, 4 wonderful issues of Ghost Machine's Family Odyssey, Hornsby, and Halo. Really curious to see what happens next. Want to see what happens to the Adjudicator. I am very curious to see how the relationship with the two of them influences things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a 4-issue giant-sized deep dive. Thanks for sticking with us on it. We have a pretty brief and cool listener mail question to wrap it up tonight. Would you like to read it?
I would. So our fantastic mail, which is what Nick meant to say, comes from Race. Race asks us, you can pick one Ghost Machine universe to make it to at least one title with 100 issues. Which one do you choose?
So if I understand this correctly, Race, you're saying the Hyde Street universe, the Horrorverse, which is Hyde Street and Devour and Sisterhood and the upcoming Soulless. Rook Exodus, which is the sci-fi universe, so far is just Rook Exodus. The Unnamed, which is Redcoat and Geiger, Junkyard Joe, the Northerner, all those characters. But the 2 comics are Geiger and Redcoat.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the Family Odysseys, which we just talked about, which are the Rockefellers and Hornsby and Halo. We have not seen those series cross, but we're in the impression that that's classified as a universe. So we can only pick one comic. I'm assuming that this is like guarantees that one makes it or whatever. So what do we of all those comics?
I mean, we can pick something different, but I kind of feel like you and I have the same answer.
Well, see, it changes for me though based on the fact that if I had to narrow it down, it's like, well, I like the Unnamed. I like them all like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the Unnamed most often the most because of all the crossing over of storylines and the back and forth in time and like all the I really like all that. but I guess I would still definitely want Redcoat for all 100 issues, but I would really feel bummed that I couldn't get the 100 issues of Geiger to go along with whatever parts of the story went hand in hand, or should have, or would.
It doesn't say that if you get one, you can't have the other.
Well, it made me feel like that. I thought that's how I read it. But no, you're right. So my thought was that if I had to do one and it was like that, then maybe Hyde Street, because it's on its own, and I feel like there's so much stuff there. So if it's just one series, if it doesn't matter how many series I can pick in the universe, then yeah, it's the Unnamed, because I think there are more coming. You know, there's going to be other series. I think there, obviously, First Ghost is going to be a mini, I believe, but we could have more Junkyard Joe minis, more Northerner minis. We still need to find out about the monster. All these things that, if you look at the Unnamed timeline, have that trademark thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I would read 100 issues of Rook Exodus any day of the week, man. So, you know, it's I would read 100 issues of the Rockefellers any day of the week. It's fantastic stuff. What do you think?
You pick one Ghost Machine universe to make it to at least one title with 100 issues. So, I mean, my first pick is obviously Redcoat from the Unnamed universe. And then my second pick would be Rockefellers. I'm very intrigued by where that story is going. And anytime, well, they both kind of deal with time travel, right? That's why I'm into it. I love it. The Rockefellers would be number 2. But cool. I mean, you know, I can't stop loving Simon Pure. And like where the story is going, it's just so interesting to me. I think it's so good.
It's super good, and it's replayable forever, right? Because we want all of his stories. In the recent solicits for Simon, there's like this cover of him sewing parts of a American flag back together, and then like it's a tapestry of all these events that look like he has children and a family, and it's like this whole time I was never thinking he had children too, or if they're not his children, maybe they're like adopted children, and like he stepped in for like something. Either way, like this solicit page, if you haven't seen it, go check out the solicits for that one. It's the most recent solicits post that we had on Instagram. There's so much more to Simon, man. Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, I was thinking race meant like gun to your head, desert island, only one option. You know, like whatever.
Gun to your head.
Pick a Ghost Machine comic.
And none of the others in that universe will hit 100. You like changed the plot of the question. Yeah, that would make it actually very hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you would just want to pick one that there's only one in the universe right now. You know what I mean? Because if I pick Rockefellers, it would mean that Hornsby and Halo couldn't do that. Right. And I wouldn't want to put that fate on these, you know, wonderful books. But it's just always Redcoat for me.
Yeah.
It's become the fun fact about me. I love the show Supernatural and have watched every episode multiple times. So Redcoat has become the Supernatural of comics for me.
And I'm sure it will continue to do so because you'll have plenty of side mission Simon issues, and then you'll have plenty of longer arcs that cross into Geiger, or just tell us about the many things that have made him the man he is.
Yeah. Magic, history. Yes, please. Gives me Warehouse 13 vibes.
Yeah, because you could. I was thinking that replayability there. Same.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Wonderful.
A story that would never get old. You just would have to keep choosing the next focus. And with an immortal character, you have a longer scope of time within which to do so, which is cool.
Yeah, and then time travel. I mean, shoot. We could even see us taking it back.
And if you would like to send us a fantastic mail, just remember you can do that by emailing ghostmachinefans gmail.com. You can also find all of our other content by going to www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find all of our social media info, as well as some of our friends of the show, like Reddit and the Ghost Machine Comics fans Facebook group. If you want to come join the conversation that's been going on Discord, you can go to our Instagram on the profile or on the Ghost Machine Comics Reddit. That information is posted right up there on like the main announcements deal there. And we also would love to have some new contributors join us on the wiki that you can find on our website as well.
That about wraps it up. So thanks so much for joining us on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.
Podcast.